If you're struggling to prioritize your tasks and getting your team aligned on what to work on next, this simple framework will help you identify the most impactful options to focus on right now. Hi, I'm Terry Danilak, and I've helped dozens of teams at startups and Fortune 500 companies become more effective at building products, manage projects, and delivering results. I'm going to show you the 2x2 prioritization framework and then give you a few examples to help you get started. Let's begin. So, how to prioritize your work? Let's talk about the problem. So, a lot of the times when we planning our week, trying to figure out what to do, we always run into the issues. What do we want to do first? Which features to build first if you're building a product, or which initiatives to focus on, even on a personal level when you're kind of planning your career, which skills should I improve, for example. The solution to the decision-making issues is the 2x2 prioritization matrix. And it can help you see the big picture of your work and decide what to do first. There are several types of 2x2 matrices, and you can use them in different situations. Today I want to discuss the 3 types: impact versus effort, value versus cost, and risk versus ease of mitigation. And these 3 matrices will be used for different types of decision-making situations. All right, so how do we get the 2x2 framework set up? First, you want to prepare a list of options. So whatever it is, whatever you're focusing on, whether it's a list of tasks, a list of problems, a list of strategies, and a list of options. Then select the 2x2 that will fit best to kind of organize these options, and then place these options according to criteria of the 2x2. The 3 2x2s prioritization matrices that I'm going to talk about is the impact versus effort, which is usually used for problem prioritization, where you figure out what the impact of the problem is and then how much work it would take to fix the problem. Value versus cost, which gives you usually used for the solution prioritization, where you prioritize how much value will this solution provide and how much is it going to cost to get the solution implemented. And a lot of the times when you're talking about problems, or when you're doing SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, a lot of the negative impacts, the decision makings that you need to make, can be prioritized using the risk versus ease of mitigation framework. Let's get into the first one. So the 2x2, the first one, the impact versus effort framework, is used for problem prioritization, and a lot of the times the impact is the impact that the problem has on the customer, on the business, on the team, on you personally. In this example, I want to talk about the 8 problems, hypothetical problems, that will have an impact on the customer and how much effort each problem will take. So you want to prioritize what do you want to work on first. To give you a quick overview of what the framework looks like, the 2x2 looks like is you have the 2 lines crossing, and the 2x2 comes from the 4 quadrants, the 2x2 meaning the 2 impact ones and the 2 effort ones, quadrants. And you draw the line, you put the impact on the x-axis and the effort on the y-axis, and from low to high and from low to high here as well. Then you have your list of options, which you've gathered from before, and you start placing them according to where you see them on the 2x2. What I like to do is I like to start by placing the problems here on the effort line. How difficult is it to solve these problems? So for example, I will do better onboarding, say it will be here, and then fix daily system outage here. One click out checkout is maybe lower effort. Missing order items is here, and then slow login process, maybe it's here. Improving homepage text is very easy to do. Occasional payment system processing, maybe it's a little bit higher effort. Simpler customer profiles, maybe it's here. Maybe let's reverse a few things here. Maybe this is the order. Once you've organized them according to the effort, and you kind of understand what each of these, how difficult are they to do, you can move them around on the impact. So what impact does each of these problems have on the customer? So In this case, missing order items, how often does it happen? So maybe it happens once a month and it's not that much of an impact. Maybe it's just, maybe you can't even address it yourself, so maybe it's low impact and you want to move it down here. The one-click checkout, it's difficult to do. What kind of impact does it have? Is the customers complaining about multiple clicks? Maybe not, so maybe you want to keep it here. And then occasional processing errors, maybe it has a high impact, maybe it happens all the time, and maybe it's a little bit difficult to fix, so you move it here. Better onboarding, is it high effort? Probably high effort, because you got to kind of do a lot of thinking, you got to do a lot of UI testing, talk to customers and figure out all of that, but it might have a high impact, because if you do better onboarding, maybe more customers will sign up. So maybe you want to move that here. The fixed daily outage, if it's daily outage, so it's a high impact. So a lot of things happen all the time. So maybe it's a high impact and medium effort system that you need to fix. The slow login process, maybe it's not many people are complaining it's slow, but people are kind of dealing with it. So maybe it's slow. Low impact. Improving homepage text. If you improve homepage text, maybe the conversion rate is too low. So maybe it's a medium impact, but low effort activity. And then simpler customer profiles. If you improve the customer profiles, how much of impact it will have? Maybe it'll have a little bit of an impact. People will be able to maybe change their settings, maybe buy more stuff, or whatever the problem they might have. Maybe have that fixed easily, maybe reduce the number of complaints. So maybe that's low effort, because you're just kind of moving things around, and medium impact. So once you've organized these problems, these tasks into these 4 quadrants, on the 2x2, you can easily see the quick wins and all the other tasks that are difficult, that might be difficult to do, but the impact that they have if you actually do them. So ideally, you'd want to go for the quick wins. So for example, the fixed daily system outage, that's a quick win. It'll have a high impact and it's not that difficult to do. And you go and you want to improve homepage text, because they'll bring in more customers. And simpler customer profiles, maybe you want to focus on that next, because it has decent impact, but it's low effort. So maybe get that done first. And then you kind of move on to the high effort, high impact. You always want to get the high impact stuff out of the way as well. And anything with the low impact and high effort, you might want to kind of maybe not even work on, or not even think about it until it becomes a bigger problem. And low impact, low effort, those things you might just want to even throw out if that's not too big of an impact on the organization, on your team, or on the application, or the product that you're building. So this, in essence, the impact versus effort 2x2 prioritization framework. Next, I want to show you an extended version of this 2x2. And here, as you can see, we have a complexity versus scalability, a 2x2 within a 2x2. So you can move this around from here into the high effort, high impact quadrant as well. But usually you'd want to organize things in the quick wins category, and you organize it by complexity and scalability. What do I mean by that? So complexity means how complex is the task, and scalability, how many people can you put on that task to get it done faster? So if you can only put one person on the task, then it's low scalability. If you can put multiple people on the task, then it's high scalability. So in our case, if we look back, so we have fixed daily system outage. Let's move this here, and homepage text, and then simpler customer profiles. So let's organize this here. You can organize it. So let's say fixed daily system outage, you can maybe throw a few people on it, and it's complex. Simpler customer profile, maybe it's complex, but you can't really throw more people on it. And improve homepage text is, you can throw a lot of people on it. It's not very complex. So see here, you can organize it even more and prioritize the work more in depth, and see how quickly that was. Like when you doing the prioritization, you will speak with your team. When you will kind of think about these things, it'll take a little bit longer, but within an hour, you should be able to prioritize all of your work in terms of impact versus effort, and then complexity versus scalability and be fairly confident that you've done a good job. So this is the impact versus effort framework. The next one is the value versus cost. And I've used this framework for solution prioritization. So a lot of the times you will have problems, and then you kind of came up with a solution on how to fix it, and how do you decide which solution to choose, right? And then in this case, we want to think about the cost of the solution. How much does it cost? And the value that it'll provide to the business, to the customer, whatever it may be. So you always want to look for low cost, high value solutions in this case. And then when you move things around, when you kind of prioritize, you can use the same process, line up your solutions according to cost, and then move them around according to value, and then focus on the quick wins. And then you can also do the complexity versus scalability prioritization within the quadrant as well. The last one here is risks versus mitigation cost. And this is useful when you're thinking about the threats to the business, to the team, to the product, and maybe even weaknesses. You want to figure out which weaknesses to address first, which threats to mitigate, things like that. So here, in this case, I would kind of reverse the prioritization. I would start with the risk. So you kind of put the risk to the business, and then you organize them based on high risk, low risk, lack of modernization. So for example, new regulations, probably high risk, failure to get FDA approval, and maybe that's even higher than that. And then risk of rising material cost, that's here. Overseas supply chain, maybe you don't have that many, so it's a low risk. Increasing competition, maybe it's low risk. Maybe your company is actually dominating the market. So now that you've put the threats according to the risk profile, and you can move them up and down to see how easy it is to mitigate things. So how easy is it to mitigate, say, lack of modernization? Well, it's high mitigation cost, because modernization is almost always an expensive project. So you want to move that here. New regulations, is it easy to mitigate? If your company is staying on top of all the regulations and is maybe not that many, maybe it's lower mitigation cost. Technology changes, maybe there's a high mitigation cost here. Failure to get FDA approval, maybe that's also a lower mitigation cost, because all you got to do is maybe change a couple of things. So again, it all depends on the type of work you're doing. And here you want to kind of move these things around and organize them in a way that makes sense to you. And then you want to always focus on the quick wins. So in this case, that FDA and the new regulations are going to have the high risk of happening, maybe because it's in the process, it's in the pipeline. Mitigation is on the lower end, so let's kind of focus on that. So let's address this, and then move on to the next bit, and then the next, and the next, and the next. And then in each of these, you can also put them in through the other 2x2 matrices after you've done this, to figure out the impact, the effort, the cost, and the value to the business. Lastly, so where and when to use these 2x2s. When? There's usually no specific area or time when you should use it. I've used them in the early project stages and mid to late project stages. So in the early project stages, for example, when we're trying to figure out what the main problems are and which ones have the most impact, we'll use the impact versus effort matrix. And then solution discovery, once we have identified the problems, we want to kind of look at all the possible solutions and figure out which one is the most valuable and least cost. And during project kickoff, we'll do a risk versus mitigation cost. So we'll list all the risks that could affect the project, and then align them based on the mitigation cost. How easy is it to mitigate? So for example, if we have a risk of lack of SMEs for a particular project, subject matter experts, and we know that it's a high risk because we don't have anybody, so maybe we need to bring somebody in who knows what they're talking about, and then we kind of figure out the cost of bringing someone in, and that's the mitigation cost. So we always want to get that organized as well. In the mid to late project stages, the same thing: problem prioritization, solution prioritization, and general task management can be used. Any of these can be used in that case. And where? As I mentioned before, You can do it in your weekly work. Prioritize every Monday. You want to prioritize the work for the week. Strategic planning. A lot of the times, when you look at the big picture, you have many options, many initiatives. You need to figure out which one is going to be, which one should your limited resources be allocated to, and that's the 2x2 prioritization matrix comes into play there. And on the personal level, if you want to improve your career, figure out what to focus on next, and like you can't focus all your attention on everything, so you need to figure out exactly which skill will be most impactful for your career. And you can use the 2x2 matrix, prioritization matrix for that as well. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, check out the link below in the description. You can we can set up a call with me. We can discuss more about prioritization matrix. If you have any comments, if you have any ideas, any specific use cases that you've used the 2x2 prioritization matrix, I would love to hear about them in the comments. Let me know, and hope you have a great day. Cheers.